You know, it's funny, isn't it? Every time you turn on the news, it's like water crisis this or global water shortage that. It's enough to make you want to, build an ark or something.
Right, and it's not like it's going to get any better by itself.
Exactly. But hey, that's what we're here for, right? To turn the doom and gloom into something, hopefully, a little more, I don't know.
Hopeful.
Yeah.
Hopeful.
Well, you've come to the right place then, because today we're diving into this research article, and it's called Mapping a Sustainable Water Future.
Oh.
And get this, it's not really about the problems themselves. No, it's about where we can have the biggest impact, with solutions.
Solutions. Okay, I like the sound of that already.
Yeah.
And for our listeners out there, we are talking about a lot of money here.
Yeah, trillions with a T, trillions. This isn't like some small potatoes problem, right? But even with all that, the research, it doesn't try to sugarcoat anything.
Not at all.
It's like, yeah, things are serious. Demand for fresh water is going up, up, up. The way we've always managed water, yeah, not cutting it.
And the funding gap, forget about it.
It just kind of I don't know, trying
to put out a forest fire with a squirt gun,
Yes, that's a way better analogy.
Public funding alone, it's just not enough.
Which is why everyone keeps talking about this private sector thing, right? Private investment. And I can already hear some of our listeners like, hold on, isn't water a human right? And it is, absolutely. But here's the thing this research really made me think about.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to shake things up, Sometimes you need new technology, new approaches to actually deliver on that right.
Totally. We're talking about water treatment plants that can take even the nastiest water and make it drinkable. Or imagine sensors that tell farmers exactly how much water their crops need.
No more, no less.
Exactly. That's how we can square this circle of a growing population and not enough water to go around.
See, this is what gets me so interested in this stuff, because it's not just about saying we need more money, the end. It's about, okay, where will that money actually make a difference?
It's about strategy.
Yes. And this is where this whole water investment needs index comes in, right? The W index, as the researchers call it.
They've looked at everything, like how stressed the water situation already is, what the infrastructure is like, even how vulnerable a place is to climate change.
So they're not messing around. What really surprised me, though, was that it's not just, developing countries that need help.
Oh, yeah. This report makes it very clear that this is a global issue.
Right. Even some developed countries have areas with, really serious water needs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good reminder that we're all in this together.
100%. And, while those developing nations, they definitely have the biggest needs, they also might just be the ones to watch in terms of solutions.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Some of them are making incredible leaps forward in innovation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where it gets really interesting.
Because they have the need and they're coming up with new ideas.
Exactly. They're not just playing catch-up. They're actually becoming leaders in this whole water tech field.
So how do we figure out where those bright spots are, the places where investment can really make a difference?
Well, that's where the researchers get really clever. They use this other index, the private OI, to look at a country's what they call enabling environment.
Enabling environment. Okay, what is that?
So how innovative is a country? How easy is it to do business there? Are they open to new ideas? That kind of thing.
So it's not just about throwing money at the problem, it's about finding the right places where that money can work its magic.
Exactly. High need, big potential for innovation, and the political will to make it happen. That's the trifecta.
That's what makes this research so interesting, right? It's like, okay, we know there's a problem, but here's a potential path forward.
A roadmap to a more water-secure future.
Okay, I am on the edge of my seat here. We know where the need is. We know which countries are, showing some real promise. But what are the actual challenges? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So before we got into all this, we were saying how this research is kind of like a treasure map, right?
Treasure.
Yeah, it shows us not just where the water problems are, but also where we could really make a difference,
I see what you mean, yeah.
But I think it's time we get down to brass tacks, yeah. What are the actual challenges?
Well, the research, it breaks it down into 4 main categories.
Hit me.
Water resource development, pollution,
Okay.
catchment disturbance,
Attachment, interesting.
and of course, biotic factors.
Okay, so 4 big buckets of water challenges. Got it. Let's take them one by one, right? Starting with, let's see, water resource development. What are we talking about here? Not enough water to go around?
Exactly that. It's about the balance between how much water we have and how much we need, and
Spoiler alert, we're using too much.
well, you're not wrong. Look at countries like China, India, massive populations, right? And their agriculture, huge. They need a ton of water.
And they get a lot of it from groundwater, don't they?
which unfortunately is being used up faster than it can replenish.
Okay, not good. So how do we fix that?
Well, for starters, we have to get a lot smarter about how we use the water we do have, No more wasting it.
Easier said than done, right?
Not necessarily. We're talking about things like drought-resistant crops. Imagine that.
So they don't need as much water to grow, right? Makes sense.
And high-tech irrigation systems. I'm talking about delivering water right to the roots, only when the plant actually needs it.
Talk about precision. What about water storage, though? Because even if we get better at using water, we've got to store it somewhere, right?
Especially with climate change making rainfall less predictable. And that's where things get really interesting. Because traditional dams, they can cause a whole host of problems, like messing up ecosystems, displacing communities.
Yeah, those are big downsides.
So there's a real push for more natural solutions, restoring wetlands, revitalizing floodplains, working with nature, not against it.
Okay, I'm liking where this is going. It really is all connected, isn't it? You can't just focus on one part of the water cycle without, messing something else up.
It's all one big system.
Right. So we've talked about water availability, storage. Now let's get to the dirty stuff. Pollution.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, that's got to be a huge challenge, right? Both for people and the environment.
Absolutely. And the report highlights some pretty fascinating technology coming out of Europe right now.
Right.
Nanosensors. These things are tiny, but they can detect even the smallest amounts of contaminants in the water.
So it's like a microscopic security system for our water.
Basically.
Yeah.
Though that kind of tech does come with a price tag.
Yeah, I can imagine. What about countries that, maybe can't afford all the bells and whistles?
Right, and that's why it's important to remember that one size doesn't fit all. So for developing countries, they might be better off with more nature-based solutions. Like, imagine using plants to filter out pollutants.
Using nature's own filtration system.
Exactly. Or things like constructed wetlands, they can work wonders. And they're often way more affordable.
It's like having Mother Nature on your cleanup crew. All right, what's next? Catchment disturbance. Okay, I gotta be honest, this one's new to me. Break it down.
Okay, so think of it this way. A river's catchment is basically all the land where the water drains into that river. Makes sense?
Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
And catchment disturbance is basically all the ways humans mess with that whole area. Like deforestation, building cities, even intensive agriculture.
And all that stuff upstream impacts everything and everyone downstream.
You got it. The report, it actually has this really interesting case study from South America, the Cerrado region in Brazil.
I've heard of that place. Isn't it super biodiverse?
It was, but there's been a ton of deforestation, agricultural expansion, you name it. And it's really messed up the water situation there. More droughts, more floods, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so how do we even begin to tackle that? It sounds like a massive problem.
You're telling me we're talking about reforestation, sustainable agriculture, restoring those natural river flows. It's a huge undertaking.
So basically, we have to be a lot more mindful of how we use the land, right? Because it's not just about the land itself, it's about the water, too.
Exactly. Okay, ready for the last challenge?
Hit me. Biotic factors. Let's do it. Something tells me this is all about fish.
You're on the right track. It's about how fishing and aquaculture, those fish farms, how they impact our water resources.
Because we love our seafood.
Especially in places like Southeast Asia. Fishing and aquaculture, those are huge industries there.
Well, we got to make sure we're not, fishing them out of existence.
Exactly. Sustainability is key. It's about finding that balance between getting enough seafood to feed everyone and making sure those fish populations are around for, future generations.
And I'm guessing technology plays a role here, too.
Big time. We're talking about things like recirculating aquaculture systems. Basically, these super high-tech fish farms that use way less water.
And less waste, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
And there's also a ton of research into alternative proteins like algae, which could really take the pressure off those wild fish stocks.
Okay, now that's thinking outside the box. It's really amazing to see how much innovation is happening in this space.
It's pretty incredible.
But let's bring it back to the heart of this whole thing, right?
Yeah,
we've talked about a lot of challenges, but what I really appreciate about this research is that it doesn't just leave us there,
You're right. It's not just doom and gloom.
It's like, okay, these are the problems, but they're also opportunities, right? Opportunities for investment, for innovation.
And that's what makes it so powerful. It's a call to action. It's saying, hey, we have a chance here to make a real difference.
It's like we talk about the technology over here and the problems over there, but we forget that they have to, meet up somehow, right?
Right, and that's where this idea of an enabling environment comes in. The research talks about it a lot.
Because it's not enough to have a great idea. you need the right conditions for it to actually work, right?
100%. We're talking about the policies, the economics, the whole social context. That's what makes or breaks these solutions.
Okay, so paint me a picture. What does a really supportive environment for this kind of innovation look like?
Well, first off, you need a real commitment to innovation. And I don't just mean throwing money at the problem, although that helps.
She does help.
But it's more than that, right? It's about encouraging that culture of, like, creativity, research, and development.
Yeah.
You got to make it easy for people to bring new ideas to the table.
It's like we always talk about planting seeds, right? But you need good soil, you need sunlight, if you want that seed to actually grow.
And not all soil is created equal.
Yeah.
Some places are just naturally better at fostering innovation. The research, it actually highlights countries like India, Vietnam. They're really exceeding expectations in that department.
Now that you mention it, I have heard that even with, maybe not having the same resources as some other countries, they're really making strides.
They're doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But, it's not all sunshine and roses. There are still some serious roadblocks.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Like, what?
One of the biggest ones is short-term thinking. Governments, companies, they get so focused on the here and now that they don't want to invest in something that might take a while to pay off.
Even if it's super important in the long run.
Exactly. These water projects, they often need a ton of money up front, and it might be years before you see the benefits. It's a tough sell.
That's like that marshmallow experiment, right? Can you resist the temptation and now W for something even better later?
It's the ultimate test of willpower. But seriously, we need a real mindset shift. We have to start seeing water security as an investment, not an expense.
Because it's an investment in our future, really.
100%. And that's going to take all of us working together, right? Governments, investors, businesses, even everyday citizens.
No one's off the hook on this one.
Nope. It's like we all share this planet, we all need water, so we might as well figure out this whole water security thing together, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's what I love about this kind of research. It reminds us that we all have a role to play, Whether you're inventing some new technology or investing in a company that's trying to make a difference.
Or even just like being more mindful about how much water you're using at home.
It all adds up. Every little bit counts. And that, my friends, is a wrap on this deep dive into the future of water. It's a complex issue, but hey, at least we're starting to ask the right questions.
Right. And looking for those solutions, one drop at a time.
Now go forth and hydrate responsibly, everyone. We'll catch you on the flip side.